Hello and welcome to Learn and Talk's CELPIP listening test overview. Today we're going to talk about what to expect on the test and give some tips for how to do well on the test. Okay, first of all, what is the format? The test is made up of 6 parts. Part 1 is the easiest and part 6 is the most challenging. So it gets more difficult as it goes. And part 1, 2, and 3 are audio questions. Okay, so as you can see here in this image, you have to listen to the questions, and then you get to choose a multiple choice answer. Part 4, 5, and 6 are written questions. So they look like this. You have kind of 5, 6, 7 or more questions, and you just have to choose, you click on the space and you choose one of 4 options. Okay? So there are several overall strategies when it comes to the listening test. The first kind of most basic thing is that you really need to focus on the listening test. This is unique out of all the 4 modules. Even if your English is perfect, it can be very easy to miss or forget important information. So you need to be focused on the listening task. This means more than any other test, good rest and energy is so important. Uh, it's also very important for you to read the instructions before the audio to understand the situation. Okay, you'll see a picture of this later, but before the audio starts, it gives a brief description. Make sure to read that so you understand before you even listen. Of course, for longer audio, you will not remember every specific thing, but you can remember general things. So one key thing that happens here is the audio comes first and then you get the questions. Okay, so if you're more familiar with the IELTS test, there you can see the questions at the same time. The CELPIP is very different in this way. The questions come after the audio, so you have to remember some things, and of course that gets easier with practice. Okay, another overall strategy is you need to be careful with matching. Now, this is true for any multiple choice, okay? Essentially, you know that because there are multiple answers, they will try to trick you if you are just trying to match words that you've heard. So the correct answer must be chosen because of the meaning, both of the question and of the word here, not just because you heard the word in the audio. Okay? One example of this: what do the women intend to use the small table for? Now, the correct answer is refreshments. Okay? Uh, it's not said in the audio. They never say refreshments. What they say is coffee, tea, biscuits. Okay? You hear all these other words: office supplies, books, student visits. That's in the audio, but those are all wrong because of the meaning. So this is an example of a trick answer, trick question. And you cannot just listen for matching words. Okay, another overall strategy is the process of elimination. This means that even if you don't always have the exact answer, you try to figure out the answer by what you know cannot be correct. Okay? So here's an example. In the above, the question is, why does the lady ask for extra time? Now, when you look at these possible answers here, you already know that she has already chosen a show, the musical. So we know it's not B. You already know that she does not need to pay for the show because she is exchanging her tickets. So it's not C. And you know that she does not work at the theater, so she does not help the customers. It's not D, which means the answer must be A. Okay? So this is just an example of it. Take a moment to look at that. This is what you should be doing throughout the listening test. So you usually have a little bit of time for these individual questions and then a little bit more time for the written questions. Okay? Just take that time and really try to get the correct answer. Okay, let's go through each task individually. Task 1 involves solving a problem. This is the easiest part of the listening because it's split into 3 short parts. So really, when it comes to this, focus on listening. Some people suggest taking notes. I think that sometimes taking notes can be more of a challenge because we focus less on listening and more on writing. So for the first 3 tasks, probably, uh, you should focus more on listening. Now, it's very important that you understand the situation as quickly as possible. So, who is speaking to whom and why? And then, as they offer solutions, listen for when the person says no, because this may be a trap answer or question, right? As an example, if someone, you know, is offering a solution to something and they say, hey, would it work for you if I gave you a refund? And the person says, no, actually, a refund wouldn't work because I'm a tourist and I won't be back. Okay, so, as an example, sometimes that no tells you that that first bit is not the answer. Let's look at task 2. This is more of a daily life example. So again, here's what I mean about reading instructions. You will hear a conversation between a husband and wife. They have guests coming over for dinner tonight. So read this carefully before you start the audio. You need to understand the situation, and it's usually a realistic situation, maybe something you have experienced. One tip here is to use context clues to understand meaning. In this audio, the wife says, the crust is black and burned. The pizza is inedible. Now, maybe you don't know the word inedible. Well, we know she burned the pizza. So inedible means it will taste too bad to eat. Okay? The crust is black and burned. And that's enough for you. So if sometimes you don't understand the meaning of a word in the audio, that's okay. That's okay sometimes. You can use other words for context, and it's enough. It's enough to know that the pizza is burned. You don't need to know inedible for this audio. Okay, task 3 is listening for information. It's very similar to the previous listening, task 2, but with less common information. The correct answers are often connected to specific sentences. So as you're listening, there's the correct information. There's the correct information. Um, and really, again, because the questions come after the audio, you just have to use process of elimination based on what you do remember. Okay. As we move into task 4, this is the second half, the language gets more formal. So task 4 is a news item. This is the place where if it helps you, maybe you should start taking notes. Okay, I say that because, again, I know some students, if they take notes, they can't focus on listening. So only if it helps you. Now, another thing for the news item is as they go through, they might mention a name, as they interviewed someone for this news item. If they do, there will probably be a question about them. So that might be something to listen for. And that prepares you for task 6, where names are very important. Task 5 is a little different from the other listening tasks. You end up seeing a video, and almost always there are 3 people in the video. Okay? Usually you will get questions about understanding the situation. So in the example video, this is a situation where 3 teachers are discussing how to use the office they've been given. That's a small office. There are 3 of them. They need to decide how to arrange the furniture, how to use the space. That's the situation. understanding how someone feels. As these teachers talk, they discuss, Lynn and Rena mention, oh, I'm so excited to use a whiteboard. I really prefer whiteboards over blackboards. And Ivan says, oh, I guess I'll have to learn how to use a whiteboard. So Ivan's comment becomes a question where, how does Ivan feel about using whiteboards? And you need to understand it's not that he hates using whiteboards, it's that, well, okay, he doesn't feel excited about it. And so some of the questions for task 5 are about understanding how people present themselves and how they feel. And of course, when you have 3 people, there are going to be questions connected to a specific person. So some questions might say, what would Rena do in this situation? Why does Lynn act this way? Okay. In some other videos, it'll be something like the man with the glasses, the man with the sweater. But sometimes you have names as well. So very good, very helpful. And again, do your best. Watch the video. For many students, the video can help quite a lot. Task 6 is the final one. This is the most challenging with more academic vocabulary. So don't worry if you're not getting top scores on task 6. This is another reason actually why it is very important that most students, you really want to do well in task 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's where most of your points can come from much more easily. Task 6 is often for the very top CELPIP scores. That said, there are a few strategies that you can use to still get some points here. Usually, there will be different names of people or organizations mentioned because they're talking about viewpoints. So definitely take notes. Focus on whether the person agrees or disagrees and on understanding their main point. As an example, right, you might have 3 or 4 different people with names, a professor in this university, a professor in that university. So, and they're discussing, I don't know, some kind of new policy. Okay, well, does person A think this is a good policy? Person A says, oh, cities are bad places to live. Okay, so maybe they're discussing a policy of, or not even policy, they're discussing people moving to cities. There has been a shift. Many people live in big urban cities like Vancouver or Toronto. Does person A think this is good? Yes. Does person B think this is good? No. Person B says, oh, person A says cities are bad places to live. Person B says cities are good places to live. So then your question might say, person B probably lives in blank. Well, the correct answer will be an urban center. Okay, this is a synonym for city. So why? Well, because person B says cities are good to live in. So often, if you remember what each person argues, whether they like the thing or they don't like the thing, maybe a main point, that can really help you later with 1 or 2 of the questions that say, does person B like this? Would person B enjoy doing this? Okay, so that's the viewpoints part of the listening. Okay, so with that, that has been the overview for the CELPIP listening test. Really, the more you practice with the listening, the better you will do. And of course, make sure that when you do take your test, you've had a good night's rest and you have lots of energy to focus. If you have any questions, please ask the coordinator.